Hello and welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds. I'm Steve, your host today and every day that I'm here. Coming to you from my hobby room in our beautiful home on beautiful Vancouver Island. Alright, so welcome to everyone, subscribers, returning viewers, and a most hearty welcome to those who might be joining me for the first time on the channel. Hope you find it interesting, informative, and have some fun. Okay, so this came in the mail today. I like it when I see a customs declaration. And I'm pretty sure what it is, but I'm not exactly sure. The interesting thing here is, here's this great big kit. Okay, I guess this might have something to do with Amazon Prime or something, but so here's this great big kit, and I don't know if you can see here, but the shipping was $3.95. Okay. Recently, I sent a friend of mine over in the UK. This came from the UK. Last fall, I sent a Matchbox kit over to a friend of mine in the UK. And it was just a 172 Matchbox kit, the size they usually are, whatever. Couldn't have weighed more than a few ounces. Anyways, $30, $35 to send it over to the UK. And these guys do it for $3.95, so I don't know what's going on with that. Here in Canada, it costs you $3.95 to send a letter across the country. No, not quite that bad. Okay, so enough about that. Let's get into this and get far away from my attempts to be funny. Okay, so I've dealt with this merchant before. It's Rare Waves. As I said, they're based in the UK. And just as with this one, they're the package arrived well before the earliest promised date. I think this was promised on the earliest promise was the 29th, and here we are, the 23rd. So it usually gets here about a week before they say the earliest line, which is good. Okay, and yes, it's what I thought it might be. And so yeah, you get good solid, you get good sturdy vinyl stuff here. Outer packaging, and they've wrapped this securely in nice heavy cardboard. So if you come across them and you haven't heard of the merchant Rare Waves before, you can trust them completely. I've got quite a few things from them, and there's never been any kind of a problem whatsoever. So, okay, so let's see here. Look at this. Okay, this sure beats the flimsy gray Amazon envelope that they send you, or send it to you in. And I guess that's why Bezos is a billionaire. Anyways, time for a sip of tea. Alright, so yeah, this is an oldie but a goodie. Tooled in 1977, and new parts I think in 1983. These parts were from the 1983 tooling, but for this it's the same 1977 tooling. And so yeah, so we've got US M113 ACAV. Some people call them APCs. It is an armored personnel carrier. And ACAV, Armored Cavalry, Armored Vehicle. So there you go. Okay, so fully detailed plastic tracks. We'll take a look at those. I'm going to make a comment on that. Accurately reproduce interior details, realistic figures. That's one of the reasons I got this. It had, the figures. I enjoy doing the figures. And then added accessories for diorama use. Yeah, and the kit was, I don't know, $40.62, I think. So, there you go. 135 scale. And it's Tamiya catalog number 35135. And this was made in the Philippines, which is a lot better than having it made in some other places. Okay, so yeah, you've got your action scene on the front here. Good depiction of the model. Oh, and probably by the time you see this, it'll be yesterday. But April 23rd, the day I'm recording this, is the 100th birthday of Roy Cross. And anyone in the modeling community will know Roy Cross. He was the original illustrator of Airfix models in the 1960s and into the 1970s. And his box art is absolutely legendary. So happy birthday to you, Mr. Cross. Thank you for all the wonderful artwork that you displayed for us, bringing history to life for us. So thanks very much, and many happy returns. Okay, so and then here on the side we get the extra details. You get a profile of the machine, and then you've got the details here: 50 caliber, M16, another assault rifle, RPG-7, anti-tank rocket. There you go. Heart attack head strikes again. All right. So and then here we've got alternate paint scheme for camouflage. Although I think for the most part, when these were used in Vietnam, it was usually just the green paint scheme. But I could be wrong. Just like with other conflicts, they may have painted them up based on their current usage, what the current requirement was. Okay, so yeah, it's a good size kit. I mean, here's my hands. I don't have huge hands, but they're big enough. That's what girls say. And so here we go. Got a tiny bit of blistering here. But the good sturdy cardboard saved it from any damage, it looks like. Okay, so we're going to dig this out. And you can tell this is a newer kit because it has both English and Japanese instructions. Older kits are produced further back. They have two sets of instructions, and often the detailed paint instructions only come in Japanese. But it's usually pretty easy to figure it out, especially when you build Japanese. When you build Tamiya models all the time, and olive drab is olive drab, right? Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with the history. The machine was developed by FMC Corporation, and first saw service in the United States Army in Europe in 1961, replacing the mechanized infantry's M59 APCs. It was first used in combat in April 1962, after the United States provided the South Vietnamese Army with heavy weaponry such as the M113 under the MACV program. Eventually, the M113 was the most widely used armored vehicle of the U.S. Army in the Vietnam War, and was used to break through heavy thickets in the midst of the jungle to attack and overrun enemy positions. It was the first all aluminum hull combat vehicle to be put into mass production. Much lighter than earlier similar vehicles, its aluminum armor was designed to be thick enough to protect the crew and passengers against small arms fire, but light enough that the vehicle was air transportable and moderately amphibious. As far as I know, this could be transported by Chinook, inside a Chinook, under a Sikorsky, which could lift just about anything, and also in one of the larger military transport aircraft. I don't think it would fit into a C-130. If it did, it would be a pretty tight fit. At least one of the older C-130s. I know they're a lot bigger now. So, and you could fit a whole bunch of them into a C-5 or C-17. Okay, so production stopped in 2007, and they've been replaced ever since the M2 and M3 Bradleys were brought on stream. But large numbers are still used in support roles, everything from armored ambulance, mortar carriers, engineering vehicles, combat vehicles, and currently the U.S. Army's Heavy Brigade combat teams are equipped with approximately 6,000 M113s compared to 4,000 Bradleys. So they still have great utility, and obviously they're very durable. Since it first saw service, it was involved in greater numbers, or large numbers, sometimes lesser numbers, depending on the conflict, but through just about every single conflict in the Cold War, the Kosovo War, the global war on terrorism. Shoot, they were even used in the Waco siege. So, anyways, and they're being used as well in the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Ukraine's making good use of them, and there were approximately 80,000 altogether built with different variants, and so still a very, very useful vehicle. And I'm just going to read a little bit more here that Tamiya provides. They always give a good write-up. And they say early in the Vietnam conflict, the M113 APC was often used in a light tank role, but initial combat losses led to a number of modifications to make it more suitable for these types of operations. Combination gun shield cupola was added over the commander's hatch to provide some protection while firing the 50 caliber machine gun. Near the rear cargo hatch, mounts and shields were provided for 2 M60 machine guns. I think those are 30 cals. Yes, they are 30 cals. With these modifications, the vehicle is tagged with the M113 ACAV designation, denoting Armored Cavalry Assault Vehicle. As noted, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnamese Army, they used them a lot, and it was powered by a gas engine, and there were some problems at the beginning, and later versions they switched over to diesel, and by 1968 virtually the entire fleet had been converted to the A1 version, which is the diesel engine. And by 1969, belly armor had been added, and this was widely accepted by the crews, but the extra weight adversely affected their amphibious capability, and styrofoam flotation kits were added. Throughout the conflict, the M113 APC and its versatile family was enormously effective. So yes, they noted that it was somewhat amphibious. I expect that it could, make its way through squishy bogs and not too deep water. It had some some buoyancy capabilities, but not a lot. So they, probably weren't that upset, and they solved it with styrofoam. Yeah, so many things can be solved with styrofoam and duct tape. Right? Okay, so let's get into the kit here. Okay, I can't recall building this when I was a younger modeler. I built a lot of Tamiya kits, mostly German armor though. So for whatever reason, I never got this. It did it. And Tamiya's famous Hotchkiss staples, or fasteners, I should say. Okay, and here we go with the tub. As often with these older kits, it's a single piece. Well, the most part, there's a piece of the back, and the front piece here. But the suspension's there, and there's not very much detail to it. There's not. You can paint it up and make it look good, but don't expect a lot of detail on it. And you can put the detail on it yourself if you're that into it. The unit does have space for batteries and a motor, and you can see underneath here where there's holes for the whatever and the whatever. Yeah, okay. So, okay. Okay, as always, we get the Tamiya Tech Tips, which if you're a new modeler, they're fabulous. They give you step-by-step instructions, how to keep things safe, and how to make your model look great. Okay, so I use these to line the bottom of the boxes I use for painting when I'm spray painting or whatever. I don't have a ventilated spray box, so I put them in a little box about this size, maybe a little deeper. Put this in the bottom, take them outside, off you go. So there you go. Otherwise, we get it out of the way. Okay, and so we've got the tracks here. Some people like them, some people love them, some people hate them. I don't have a big problem with them. I'm not the kind of modeler who enjoys, the kind that you put together link by link. I'm just fine with this kind of thing. And what I'm seeing here with this set that I like is there's just 2 pins. The 4-pin ones I find, they're just difficult. Whereas the 2-pin ones, they seem to go together much more nicely. So, anyways, and the quality of the rubber or whatever. You could never do that with the 4 pins. They just won't go together. You have to pin them down and staple them down and whatever. So that's nice. They have a nice kind of sheen to them, so that you wouldn't have to detail them or paint them up if you didn't want to. They look perfectly acceptable, and they're nice and supple. So even though they said new parts in 1983 or whatever, that doesn't, they're still producing these kits. They're huge sellers. So these aren't kits that have been lying around since 1983. So okay, and I'm gonna pause for a moment. Okay, and so you don't need to watch me remove staples. Okay, and so here we go. We've got this mesh, which I believe that There, it rolls up on the front there. So that's a nice touch. They could have just molded that in plastic, although this is probably cheaper for them anyways, and it'll look more realistic. You put a little coat of dark green or dark gray paint, roll it up, looks great. There's some wire here, probably for a winch. Not going to open that up, there's no need to. Excuse me. This is what I want. There we go. Alright. And here, this is sprue E. And this is either very dark green or black. I'm going to say black. And we have a figure here. This looks like it might be the commander. One of them anyways. Yeah, this is the commander. And you can see the expression on his face. He's got his mouth open. He's like, you know, and the other two guys are running forward beside the APC, and the commander on the 50 cal is like, rah. Yeah, just like Stallone. Yeah. Okay, so enough of that. And so we've got the cupola and the various different gun shields. Two rifles here, the RPG. Oh, here's the 30 cals. There's the 50 cal. There you go. Everything looks good. You know, with the light behind, I'm seeing teeny tiny bit of flash. But, you know, you should probably be trimming up your edges anyway. There we go. Just as a force of habit. Yeah. There you go. Okay, so here we go. And removed all the staples from the bags. And there we go. Here's the top. Looks like this is the extra shield at the front. It's not labeled with a letter. We might see it in the instructions. There we go. Okay, and then here we have two sprues. Oh yeah, this is definitely black. And we have sprue B and sprue A. So, sprue A, we've got wheels. Again, we've got gun shields. Another 50 cal. Okay. Lots of extras for a diorama, some gas cans. And then we've got sprue B that has the rear portion with the vents, the sides that cover the top of the treads. We've got the rear door. No, this will be the front, and this will be the rear door. And this will go in there. And some things that look like they belong to the suspension. Turret hatch. Lamps. Yeah. Oh, and in that same sprue bag we have call this sprue P for Papa. You know, they're vinyl spacers for the wheels, and what they do is they allow the wheels to turn. So if you're so inclined, you can, or you can motorize it. Although I wouldn't advise that. Maybe it'd be better now with the way things are. But back in the day, you know, they used to come with the motor included sometimes, and you know, it would, you know, it would last a little while, a very short time, and then just kind of die and quit and not work. So I always considered it a gimmick, especially after I bought one. Learned my lesson. There we go. Okay, and now here, these are beige. Don't know why they've changed color, but anyways, and yeah, so we got, looks like we've got radiator, and put the top, seats, looks like a big horn, or loudspeaker maybe, engine vent, motor parts, although I doubt you'll be able to see the motor. Okay, and then here we have a decal set. You know, what do we got? Ball Love, Draft Dodger, Blue Devils, Coca-Cola, Marlboro. Marlboro. Come and get your Marlboros here. Some peace symbols, won't be using those. And yeah, so adequate. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to have a sip of tea. Throat gets a little dry. Okay, and so you know, we get a black and white photograph of the completed model. And in these older kits, Tamiya uses the fold-out panel instructions. Some people prefer a booklet, and some people prefer the fold-out panel. Some people like to like they have like an easel up in front of them, and they lay out the whole instruction booklet or pamphlet, and this is great for that. But to each their own, you know, it's no big deal. It shouldn't be. I mean, if you're getting frustrated over things like that, maybe you shouldn't be building model kits. Anyways, because there's lots of other things that are going to frustrate you more. Okay, and we got the usual read before assembly, tools you're going to need. They give you the paints. Of course, they're the Tamiya paints. And then we start with the engine. Oh, that's the bottom. Okay, yeah. I guess it's the bottom. I don't know. we'll find out. So there's the engine, and then yeah, it is the bottom. Okay, then we got the front axle, looks like. Da 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 da. Short, simple steps. This one's a little bit crowded, but I think most people could probably live with it. And they give you the part number, and then they give you the color of the paint. And so for beginners and novices, one tip I like to give is, you know, when you're doing a kit like this, you know, make little notes in the corner. What's XF56? What's XF16? So that, you know, there's usually space somewhere you can write it in, whether it's, you know, olive drab or gunmetal gray or whatever the case may be. And so you know, without having to keep going back to the first page, you know what paint you're going to need for that particular step. And you can decide whether to do it as part of the step or before the step, or do the step and then paint it up. That's up for you to decide. So smaller fiddly things, I prefer to do them ahead of time. Then I do the larger piece in the heavy, whatever the predominant coat is, and then you know, detail it separately and then put it in. Okay, and so yeah, and so then, you know, you've got a seat here. Then we move to the body. That's interesting. See oh, I see what that's for. Okay, so this goes up from the bottom, and then we've got the rear fold down hatch, and they make a note here to fix this with cellophane tape. I guess you know, I guess until you've done the other step you need to do. And then we just go through step by step. Everything's very straightforward. And how to assemble the wheels with the spacers. And the spacers make the wheels fit nice and snug. So you know, they don't need to be glued. And like I said, if you want to leave it, you can. It will roll. Okay. And yeah, so here we've got the top part. And then that goes on there. There's the piece goes on for the front hatch. More cupolas, hatches, exhaust fan here, putting the lamps, tracks, guns, how to do this. You can use a hot screwdriver. I use an old X-Acto knife blade. And I either tape it down to hold it in place, or if it's being really obstreperous, I will actually staple the pieces together and do the hot melt, see how that goes, maybe add some super glue, and then you know, after the end of it all, decide whether or not to leave the staples in. Usually I take them out. Okay, so yeah, so here we go, and then we get to the figures, and they give you two different styles, right? You know, the regular, you know, olive drab kind of thing, or the tiger pattern, regular stuff on applying the decals. And here, all the final little bits and pieces. And there's different versions you can build. I think you can probably stretch it a little bit and assemble these figures so they're in a couple different positions. But we'll see about that. Okay, so that's it. I don't know if I'd call it a shake and bake kit, but it's a nice kit, and with the 3 figures for $40, I think that's pretty good. So, speaking of which, we'll get. So I've modified the rating system a little bit, and you know, well, basically, you know, if okay. So I've revised the rating criteria and point system a little bit. It's still the same 10 standard points and up to a quarter point bonus for any wow factors per category, and up to a full point bonus for what I consider to be value. Value is not just a cheap kit, but I really look at how many hours of enjoyment I'm going to get out of it, and hopefully very little frustration. So, you know, is it going to be fun? Is it going to be a challenge? On a $40 kit, you know, if I spend 8 or 10 hours on it, that's pretty good value for money in my book. So pretty hard to get to do better. You know, can't even go hit buckets of balls at the range for $40 for an hour. Anyways, okay, so yeah, so it's 10 standard points, 2 points for packaging, and I look at the external shipping packaging, the manufacturer's outer box packaging, and the box art and info. You know, if Amazon ships something and it gets damaged, which often happens, I'm not going to ding the kit or the vendor for that, or the manufacturer for that matter. Tamiya, they package their kits really well, and you know, they really have to be treated like a football before there's, you know, any damage. They're very careful too about how they actually put this, you know, how they organize the sprues in the box. So okay, but you know, as in this case, where the vendor shipped it, and they shipped it, you know, perfectly, everything was great. If it does get damaged, then I'm going to ding them for that. So, but these guys, Rare Waves, you can always count on them. They're just great. 2 points for sprues. Sprues are complete. Very little flash. I didn't notice any awkward molding bubbles or holes, any nastiness like that. 3 points for parts, quality of plastic, the detail, if there are any warped or broken parts or misshapen parts from the molding. I look at the decals and masks, if any, if there's any photo etch or aftermarket parts included. And then 3 points for instructions. General service and history notes, clarity. I used to take a quarter point off for no color, but now I've decided I'm going to give a quarter point bonus if there's color. So, and also looking at how the instructions are laid out. Okay. Excuse me. And so for packaging, as I said, Railways always does a great job. So full 2 points there, and a quarter point bonus. It'd be pretty hard to have the kit damaged with a sturdy cardboard sleeve like that. The sprues, 2 full points. There was a tiny bit of flash, but pretty much negligible, and you would be, you know, trimming stuff like that up anyways. For parts, three full points. Quality of the plastic was good. Detail's pretty good. You've got plenty of extra little parts there, and so on and so forth. The detail on the tub itself, I'm not going to ding them a quarter for that, because I just put it back for the extra, the extra parts we get, the jerry cans and the rocket launcher and all that kind of stuff. So three full points there. The instructions, they gave a nice general service and history notes. They were clear. They were in black and white, but that's okay. And the layout was good. So a full 3 points there. And so that brings us to the bonus for value. As I said, a $40 kit. I don't rush my kits. If you want to go gonzo and finish it up in a flash so you hardly remember half of what you did, that's up to you. I like to take my time. I like to enjoy it, and sometimes you have to do things more than once. But I'm going to give it a full 1. For $40.62 Canadian, you get the 3 figures, which are quite nicely detailed, and you get the M113 itself, plus all those little accessories. So that brings us to a total of 11 and a quarter, which I think is tied for the highest rating I've ever given. And that's it. I will, when I get around to building this, you'll see the after build review and rating. There's quite a few things in the pipe now. And quite a few kits on the go. I just finished the Mac R model from Revell 132 scale. That turned out really nice. Going to be putting some Terry Senior decals on that as the final. Excuse me. I finished up the Atlantis 148 White 3000 and Freuhoff trailer Sinclair oil tanker build, and put up an after build review on that. I was quite pleased, very pleased with how they both turned out. Not perfect, but quite pleased. Excuse me again. All right, so that's it for today. Kept it to about 45 minutes. Thanks for your time. Please like, subscribe. I'm not a hound for views or subscribers. I hope people are enjoying what I do, and the channel's not monetized and never will be. And so thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you the next video. Bye now.